Welcome to Tea with Lady T Top Show / podcast. Once more, we welcome you to this amazing episode that we are doing today. And I've got an amazing brother of mine. I'm so glad I finally have you today. I couldn't believe it when they said, no, I will come through. And it was so much short notice to say, hey, my leader, can you just please come, let's do this.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming through. Today we are shooting from the McCove Hotel in Midrand. It is a very lovely space here, very serene, very tranquil. You won't feel like you are even in the middle of the Midrand. So come check it out. They've got beautiful rooms to come and rest. Just get away from the city bars and have your meetings here, your celebrations, and the food is amazing. So shout out to the management team, everyone who's been taking care of us, and we are having coffee with Lady T this morning. My guest, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let's have coffee.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my leader, for the warm welcome. And it's a great pleasure and a great blessing to be here. And it's a very great blessing to be alive today.
Yes. So maybe just introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah. No. My name is Petson Mabunda, and by profession I'm a motivational speaker, a social entrepreneur, and an upcoming author.
Wow.
So that's who Petson is.
Hallelujah. I love it when I see authors coming up,
Yeah.
We were just having a chat earlier to say there are a lot of publishing houses now. The choice is very broad.
Yeah.
And that is because it shows that authors are coming out of their shells.
Yeah.
And it is time to share those stories, those inspirational stories. Others are getting on from the gifts of prophecy.
Yeah.
Yes. So God is doing a lot in terms of the creativity in the humankind. Yeah. So I am happy that you're mentioning the book. We are waiting and looking forward to it. I know you have started it. It's just a matter of finding the publishing house. So okay. All right. So maybe just a little bit on the background. I know even our viewers will know you from different podcasts that you have done over the years. And for me, there are, I think, maybe one or two issues from your story that I will actually touch on and maybe just focus on.
Yeah.
But just in a nutshell, the background or your background and childhood.
Yeah, with that, no, Petson, it's a young man who was born and bred in Alexandra. And he's a young man who grew up in a very disadvantaged background, if I may put it that way. Like any other child, you grow up collocationing and you grow up in a very disadvantaged background.
Especially from Alex.
Yes, from Alex. And I grew up in a background whereby there's no mother, there's no father. I grew up in a background where there's just circuits, the aunties, and it's a bit of a disadvantage for any other normal child, because if you don't grow up in a background where there's a mother and father, there's a lot that you will lack.
Is it because they both passed on, or they just abandoned the kids? What is the...
Yeah, in my case, they both passed on. Okay. My mom passed on 3 days after giving birth to me. Oh. I do not know my real dad. I only met my real dad when he was in a coffin. So, people would always say, but hey, you sound like you are beaten. And when you say you don't know, I don't know the name. When you're talking about someone that you know and someone that you've engaged with, for instance, you can say something about me because you've engaged with me, you've had an opportunity to work with me, you've had an opportunity to see who I am and the type of things I do. With my father, I never got to know who he is. I don't know what he looks like when he's happy or when he's angry. I don't know what it feels like to go around a father, until when I was adopted in a Catholic church by a Catholic priest called Father Ronald Cairns.
Okay. Maybe before we get into the adoption story, sometimes, and it is even a popular saying that it is better to grow up without a father than to grow up without a mother. And then some people will actually oppose that to say both are important in a child's life. And I am one of those. As much as I am in the workspace where I deal with single mothers that are raising boy children, I have seen the impact of fatherlessness and the absence of the father in both the girl child and the boy child. But now in your case, you grew up without both parents.
Yes.
And another thing is that when the mother is carrying the child, there is a bond already that is being built up until the child is born. When the child is born, that bond has to continue. You understand? Even the emotional attachment has to take over from the birth. So now with you having your mom dying at the I can't even say age. You were only 3 days.
Yeah.
You were only 3 days. So it means you didn't have that emotional attachment.
No, not at all. I didn't have that emotional attachment.
Did it play a part in your maybe how do they call it now these days? Emotional regulation, emotional management, emotion.
Yeah.
Or it
It did play a very huge role in my emotional stability.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
In my emotional stability, in my logical stability. Because you need to understand that in that role, your emotional stability does get affected. In a sense that you will not relate with other people in a normal manner.
Yeah.
Firstly, you become, too self-attached. You become very distant.
Always have to protect yourself.
Always have to pay back. Yeah.
I understand.
It's that kind of a thing whereby you always have to have self-protection. You become self-reserved. You don't see things to be as normal as other people see it to be as normal. You don't engage as normal as other people engage. Because you feel different.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot associate with these ones. They're wearing better clothes than me. Or well, I cannot associate with these ones. They've got better sneakers than me. That's where it starts. Well, I cannot associate with these ones. They are able to talk about their parents. Whatever I got to say about my parents, you can't identify. So now it starts being what you would call in psychology a childhood trauma.
Oh, yes.
Which a lot of people are not aware. It starts by you having self-withdrawals, which like you become antisocial. I became antisocial when I was a kid. I became sensitive in a sense that a little joke for me, it's personal. Sure. Till to this age, I don't take jokes very light. For me, I always say to people, for me to get to know a person, I only have to listen to you. So the first thing that you say to me, I'll give you a typical example. I believe people from the first word go. Because why do I believe people from the first word go? I've got this thing that believe a person when they say something, because if you don't believe them by there, they will no longer say it to you. They will show you by action. So I became that kind of a sensitive person that I'm very logical. I listen when people talk. I became that type of a child. When if maybe a person is joking around to say, oh, I'm bored. For me, it wouldn't be they joking. It's deep. I now pay logical, sensitive attention to you to say, okay, I need to be careful how I conduct myself around this person. Do you understand? That's how it became so sensitive. And then it gets to a point whereby you have things like, in the process of having the childhood trauma, there's things like anger. There's things like feeling isolated, feeling, being, pushed aside. because you will experience those things. I remember growing up when I was a child, I used to relate malls. Because having to be in a mall and see other kids walking with their mother, for me, it was a trauma. Whereby I would get angry to say, why is that child deserving to have their mother walking? Why not me? You understand? I had questions. I remember, if I'll tell you, Lady T, I had a good life. I mean, like, I was taken good care of, by destiny helpers in my life. As I've mentioned, the priest, yes. I went to a very good school. Thank God I grew up being a child who loves school. And I took my studies very serious because I knew growing up back in those days, I grew up in a surrounding or a society where there was a lot of teenage pregnancy. And for me, I couldn't afford to have a relationship, a teenagehood relationship with a girl, because I was like, what happens if I impregnate a girl? I can't afford to do that because I'm from a poor background. Sure. Number two, should I mess up my life now? I've got nothing and nobody to fall back on. So I had to take my studies very serious. And guess what? I think in my whole family, coming from the family that I came from, I'm the first person who came out with a matric that had 3 distinctions. I was the first person to hold a diploma in my life, And so I as much as my life sounds very difficult from childhood, but I had a very good life because I've attained things that other people couldn't attain, And in that process, I had to take myself serious instead of like being a child playing. I don't know what it is to play. I never played all my life. I never played. Everything for me was serious. I had to learn to be responsible at the tender age, at the age of 13. And in that life, this is what people don't know about Petson. People always see this nice Petson, smiling Petson. People don't know that Petson has got 1 kidney. I've never even mentioned this. That's why my eyes are popping. It's the last time I ate bubbles. Actually, this is the first a visual set where I've actually said or indicated this. People don't know that Petson lives with 1 kidney. I look normal like everyone else. What happened? Exactly. So what happens is Petson growing up, right? As siblings, when you grow, there's a lot of disadvantages. Everyone is frustrated in their own. So I grew up around Mamkhulu, and then when Mamkhulu passed on, my life with my fellow brothers became a chaos. There's no longer an elder. We are left all by ourselves. And my own brothers are growing up to also trying to find themselves as teenagers. They're growing up. They are older than me. Okay. They were in their 20s. And now is at the age of like 13, 12, 13. Okay. So when the priest took you on, how old were you then? I was like, I think 14 years. 14 years. Okay. So now what happened is that when I was like 12, 13 there, one of my brothers, it was that time communication street passions. And every young person wanted to find themselves there. Yeah. And now I'm left with my brother. We're staying in this house at home. And he decided to go away with the key and go to a street dash. And at that time, it's Sunday. I remember the day vividly well. It was on a Sunday. And I'm left with I remember that t-shirt very well, a white t-shirt. And now he left with the key. The sun goes down. 6, 7 o'clock. A young kid like me, I'm still outside. Other kids are back at home with their parents, and I'm outside, and it's starting to get cold. So eventually, 11 o'clock goes past. And one neighbor says, what are you doing outside at this time? And eventually I'm like, I'm waiting for my brother, but he hasn't come back. And he went with the key. Eventually, thank God, there was a window that was open. Okay. And I've got a very tiny body. And all I could do was to get through the window and so that I could be safe, get in the house, sleep. Mind you, there's no meal that it's been cooked. That you just on your own, you're just a kid. And all I could do is sleep.
Sure. On an empty stomach.
On an empty stomach. Monday, I've got to go to school. And now my brother comes back around about midnight or so. It was after midnight. And this guy says, how did you get in the house? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you went with the key.
At least I'm safe.
And
Inside the house.
the least you can be grateful for is that I'm inside the house. And says, no, I want to know, how did you get in the house? And this guy, I think he was drunk. And he says, I want to know, how did you get in the house? I'm like, you left with the key. I had to like get in through the window. And he's like, oh, so you're showing the neighbors that they can get to this house through the window. I'm like, how would an adult person get through such a small window? And, you know, and there was a couch at home and he had a wooden armrest.
I see those.
Yeah. I remember, the only thing I remember is this guy breaking that armrest. And he started hitting me with that armrest. And I remember the last time I said to my brother was, you hitting me, and from there I passed out. Now, what happened is a neighbor eventually came and is like, what's happening, you know? So now I'm in a pool of blood and I'm trying to crawl next door to my other brother. And you know what happened? My brother, after we knocked, the neighbor knocked in, like, hey, wanna go here and it's here. And I was right next to his door. All he could do is like, what are you guys fighting for? I'm sleeping, and he closed the door.
The other brother.
There. And the next thing I wake up in hospital. So what happened when he was beating me with the armrest, in the process, I was kicked while I was on the ground. So now getting to the hospital, they're like, oh, well, this guy has got a kidney failure. His kidney's damaged. Like it's bruised and embedded there.
From your own.
Yeah. And they had to remove the kidney. And that's how now I got adopted into the Catholic Church.
Oh, I see.
At that time, keep in mind, Mam Hulu passed on. When she passed on, I grew up with Mam Hulu, and you grow up in a surrounding where, you know, older people, they'll teach you that if anybody doesn't go to church in this house, allow me to lock my house, you'll sit outside until I come back and you'll eat the day I come back. So if I decide to come back at 5, and that's how now I started going to church. And I became an altar boy. You know, I was glad I belonged in a very beautiful faith, the Catholic faith. And I loved my faith so much. Mam Hulu passes on. Guess what? When she passes on, nobody wants to take us in. Everybody has got their problem. Everyone says, but we can't take him in. Mam Hulu said, I can't take him in because I'm staying with 2 of his sisters. The other one here, we can't, you know.
Sorry to interject. How many are you closer?
That's 5 of us. Okay. So, and eventually, look, I go to the parish priest and I'm like, hey man, listen, this is my situation. I'm your altar boy. And the parish priest says, not a problem. I'll make a play. The parish priest announces in the church and says, hey guys, I've got one of my altar boys here. They've got a situation. I want someone who's kind, who feel that they can look after this guy. And, you know, this is the situation. Come see me and then let's talk and we will see how we assist the boy. Then 2 ladies come in. There was one lady, she was very prominent, well known, and she was in politics. And the other lady also came in, Mrs. Makua. I like talking about Mrs. Makua because that woman, she was a mother to me. Still is a mother to me. You know, wherever that woman she is, I love that woman. Mrs. Makua was the best, still the best of everything.
So did you stay with her at some point?
I stayed with her.
Okay.
So now the agreement was that these 2 ladies, they're like, okay, we'll help the boy. You know, we'll take him in, and I had to be splitted, like shared among the 2 babies. You know, and the other lady, well, I think reason why she did what she did, you know, she did it for status.
Oh.
Not because of not because of she wanted to help her, but also she did it for status. You know, in churches, you get given certain positions, you know, just because of, oh, it's Mrs. So-and-so, she's high profile, or she's in politics, or she's in driving this type of, exactly. So she didn't really do it because of, and staying with her, I was badly treated, you know, and half of the time I would be with Mrs. Makua, who was a teacher. And for me, it was an advantage because academically, it was an advantage. A teacher would want to look at your books, and that's how I got to become, you know, this well-educated person. And thanks to her, because probably I wouldn't have made it to my matric. She fought. She fought to make sure my books are well checked. I gave trouble like any other child. She would get upset with me, but in a motherly way, in a loving way. And she would sit me down and say, listen, this is your life. You've got to fight for it. And all I can do, I can give you the resources. But if you don't use them, you're on your own. I'm guiding you as your mother. I love you as your mother. Unfortunately, Mrs. Makua had a son called Obed Makua, a very nice brother, nice young man, very beautiful, fine young guy. We went to the same church. We were altar boys together. I looked up to him. Very great guy. Obed never ill-treated me or anything like that. We were like brothers. But now, you know, growing up as teenagers, you tend to feel that, no, but it's like my mother now gives the new brother love to the new brother more than me. It affected him. And I understood, you know. And, you know, beautiful Mrs. Makua, she was kind enough to sit us down, both of us, to say, listen, I love both of you. Obed, yes, I understand I'm your mother and all that and all that. I spoke to you that Petson is coming to stay with us, and you agreed. And so stop having this jealousy. You know, she tried addressing it as a mother. And eventually, unfortunately, she couldn't really get to a point of controlling the situation. Yeah. So that's when the priest took me in to say, well, ladies, I know you tried and all that, but then I'll have to take the boy in myself. And that's how I stayed with the priest. And the priest loved me as his own. You know, God rest that priest. And I believe that priest is in heaven. You know, that priest loved me like his own. An oblate priest, you know, a pure priest, a real priest. Yeah. When they say a priest, oh, my leader, when they say a priest, they spoke about that man, Father Ronald Ken. You know?
So when he passed on, were you still staying with him?
He passed on in 2019, right? On the 6th of February. I'll never forget. He passed 2021, sorry, on the 6th of February. And he was buried on the 12th of February, 2021. The days and the times of COVID. Now, mind you, I stayed with the priest. There was also challenges. The priest loved me. He had no problem. And, you know, the bishop of the diocese knew and they approved. And they knew that there's this boy who stays with Father Kens. And in the process, like any other child, you played a role. And there were times, I mean, the priest was getting old. And, you know, I had to step in. I through that priest, I had a driver's license when I was doing grade 10. And he was like, I do not have sons who don't know how to drive. You will be given an opportunity to go do your license. Your job is to make sure you pass that license. I don't have a child who fails. And that's how he motivated us. And that's how about my driver's lessons. It's like he knew that one day he will be old and, you know, he won't be able to drive. And guess what? I was his, like, kind of like mini chauffeur. And it felt very good to drive your own car. Because it would be like you're driving kind of like a boss. You have to drive carefully. It felt very good because these are the things that this man taught me. Yeah. How to handle myself, how to have manners, how to respect people. Though in the process, it's a black parish. Us as Africans, we've got jealous. People in the church, they'll be like, who is he? Where he comes from that he would stay with the white priest? He's getting special treatment. He's getting special treatment. There were challenges. I was called names. you know? And in the process, the priest stood up for me to say, guys, you guys are saying all these bad things about this boy. When I get sick, when my dogs get sick, you are in your beautiful homes. This boy takes care of. I was sabotaged by a lot of people in the parish. And it's not a secret. They know the truth. But let me tell you, God being God, God is great, guys. You know, I've said it in the other interview that most of the people who did all those bad things, they didn't live to see the brightness of the sun. Because they also did bad things to the priest. They did bad things to the priest. And they know themselves. You know, and the priest passed on in 2021. I was broken. Yeah. I was shattered because now if you listen to this whole story, it tells you that this person has experienced loss almost all his life. Yeah. I've experienced loss ever since I was a baby, going right up.
Sure, that's sincere. I've never heard some of this parts of the story. It's really shattering. Do you ever feel like everything that has happened has somehow affected the way you feel about yourself in the sense of identity? Maybe even with the father, your real father being absent, because normally, especially as Africans, we tend to identify ourselves with the roots from the father's house or father's side of the family.
In terms of that, I really wouldn't say it affected me in the sense of identity, but it did play a role of loss of affection. You're a human being. You need that affection.
So it still goes back to the emotional stability we're talking about that idea.
You know, thank God I had the priest. That it gave me comfort because he loved me like his own. You know, that played a huge role. It did close a certain gap, you know, but in a long run, it does affect you because remember, your real parent is very important because they are the first key opener or door opener of your blessings. And I wish a lot of parents would know this about their children, to say, be careful of what you say to your children. Because when you say that negative thing to that child, things like, useless, you have unlocked that thing of uselessness in that child's life. Immediately when you say, yeah, you have unlocked that door. Parents should know that they're the first good doors openers of their children's future and bad doors openers of their children's future. That's the reason why what you see out there of young people, what do you think? Now let's set them think. What do you think causes 99% of young men out there to be out there taking drugs, staying in the streets? If you'd sit down and listen to their stories, most of them, not because of Baba, and yes, it was a choice, but if you look at it, 99% of what we've got, the turnaround of criminality, drugs, and all that, is a lack of a father figure.
Exactly.
Go and research 99% of young men, they are bitter. They are enraged.
And also, maybe just to interject while you're on that point, you know, as I do prison ministry, yes, I'm a facilitator in prisons. And in every session that I do, there's a module where they do telling my story. So from that telling my story, then I get to dig deeper to understand how did you get to killing a person? How did you get to murdering, raping a woman? How did you get to doing this and that and that? So I normally try to get to the root of the crime, because crime doesn't just happen because someone felt like killing the person. There are always roots that are attached to the core of the person. And the core also includes the emotions that we are talking about. So what you are saying about the fatherlessness, it is most of the reasons I normally get to say, because my father was not around, I couldn't go to school, maybe because my father was not around, I didn't get to know who I am, and I feel like these bad things are happening because I don't have a father in my life. So it is true what you are saying. But what I want to stress is that the presence of the father in a person's life, whether a boy or a girl, it is very fundamental. And the absence actually erodes some certain parts of the person.
They do. Let me give you a typical example. They do. Greatly so, they do. I'll give you an example. You look at this beautiful point here. It's written the image of God. And it shows an image of a female and a male. If you look at it closely, it shows an image of a male and a female. And that's how we are created. Sitting here, that's me and you. You female, I am male. Right? Now, if you look at it, right, before there can be a connection, there has to be a sense of identity. Wow. There has to be a sense of identity.
You know, I'm blown away because you haven't read the book. You haven't even read the cover of the book, but you're already able to say what the book is about, and it is about identity.
Because you look at it, I think it also goes with, I feel psychology does play a big role in a person's life. You know, we've got what we call the natural psychology that we are born with, and there's the psychology study, the basics of psychology that we study.
So, by the way, the psychology comes from the word psych, and psych is it comes also from the Greek word that means the mind. Yes.
So you look at that now. The mind, you've mentioned the mind. If you look at the mind, let me give you an example of how God has made us so great. God has created everyone to be successful. And that is why I believe I'm unstoppable in myself. God has given you praise. You need to understand everyone is going to be successful, including the guy behind the camera. This guy who's doing this job is born to be successful.
Yes.
If he can't realize the greatness that is God, that he can make it, he can become a millionaire, he's not going to realize it at age. Because understand one thing. Right now, what you tell, I'll give you an example. You cannot tell the mind what not to do. You cannot, the mind can achieve anything that it wants. You cannot tell the mind what not to do. I'll give you a typical example right now, a typical one, right? I'm just going to show you how powerful it's your mind. Right now, I want you to listen to me. Don't think of a running horse. What picture do you see?
I already see it running.
That's how
already
powerful.
The horse running.
I told your mind, it mustn't think of a running horse. And you sitting at home, I told you, don't think of a running horse. But because of you hear running horse, already your mind is having a picture of a running horse. That's how powerful your mind is. So if you cannot tell the mind what not to do, why is it that you can tell yourself that, no, I cannot achieve this, and you believe it?
And now you remind me of what you said earlier about parents saying words to their children. So with the scenario that you just made now, the analogy that you just made now about the horse, it means when we say those words to the children, already their minds is capturing what you're saying, whether it's negative or it's good. So when you say to your child, you are useless, already the mind is capturing it and it is seeing it.
It's been scientifically proven. I'll give you a typical example. Go to a 5-year-old who's playing around with other kids and say to them, hey, you are so stupid. And then step back. After saying to them, hey, you're so stupid, then step back. And then sit back, watch that child when they continue to play with other kids.
Sure.
Few minutes after, they want to start doing stupid things. things that you'd be like, how can this child pick up the soil and be throwing it to other kids? That's something very irresponsible and stupid.
Ooh.
Now you look at
This
it,
is deep. This is profound.
you look at it. Growing up, I realized all these things. And I took a decision that somebody can start a perfume and I can buy this fragrance and smell good. Somebody can write a book. I grew up going to school, reading books and all that. And I was like, God, I'm tired of reading other people's books. And that's why I wrote a book. I said, if I can read somebody's book, the world has got to read my handwriting.
Yeah.
That's the decision I took.
Because you heard a story.
Exactly. Right? And that's when I started realizing my potential, my greatness, to say, you need to understand. I started understanding that one, nobody's coming to save me. Two, yes, I am born in a poor background. But let me tell you, Lady T, I was not born to be poor. I was born in a poor background. But understand one thing. I was not born to be poor. I was born in a broken background. But let me tell you, I was not born to be broken. I'll never stand there and decide to end my life on a sidewalk just because of, oh, my mother. No. No. So there's this question you asked to say, how did this affect you in terms of self-identity? You understand? One thing I've learned is that what would have happened if my mom didn't pass on? What if I was gonna turn out to be a junkie to be? So I always believe that be it's good or bad that is happening to me, it's happening for the good of me.
Wow.
I've been rejected many times. I've been betrayed many times. The people who betrayed me, did they know that they're betraying someone who's just going to be upcoming like this? They didn't know. The people who betrayed me, did they know that they're betraying someone who would become an upcoming author? They didn't know. It was a bad thing when I was rejected, but it was happening for my good. Probably if I wasn't rejected by them, would I be here?
No.
I would have given up. So sometimes when you face those rejection, when people tell you, no, we can't make it to come and see you, don't get angry. I always say to people, but when people shut you out, don't get upset. Instead, be grateful because that person is helping you to realize the greatest potential you've got in you. They're unleashing the beast in you that is caged up.
Sure.
Because realize, if I tell you, no, I can't buy your book, what's going to happen? You're like, oh, he's got the money, he's prominent, and he feels, no, this is not the book to read. Do you know what happens? There's a fire that gets unleashed in you to say, okay, fine, they rejected my book. I'm going to take my book, I'm going to sell it at the taxi rank. And that's how I started More Fire.
I was going to come to More Fire. Now that you are there, yes, please tell us about More Fire. Because I know you used to, I don't know if you still do, work for them. And I remember seeing some posts where you were with DJ Sbu, and yeah, I think you were one of his best sons.
Yeah, he even spoke about it at the Behold cars. He still talks about it to this day.
Yeah.
So what happened is I became the More Fire Hustlers brand ambassador.
Okay.
And I worked with the likes of Mr. Solimanka. We worked together with together. You know, we worked and you know, shout out to Mr. Solimanka.
Shout out to Mr. Solimanka. I'm still waiting for you on this podcast.
Shout out to LAFT. You know, that's another person that I would love to talk about. Soli also, he's played a big role in my life, like
He's an angel.
like the priest. You know, it's just that people don't know. Usoli, to me, he's not just a brother. I once told him that, you know, Usoli, you don't understand. Yeah, like, to me, you like a father. So he made me realize my greatest potential. I remember one day we took a drive and he said to me, Petson, you know, there's something on. And this thing can make you, man. You've got a gift in speaking. use it. And that's how I got to actually initiate my skills in motivational and public speaking.
Yeah, he is very good in seeing people's potential.
Very great.
I'll tell my other story about Sovi and the podcast because he's actually behind it somehow. He doesn't know maybe, but yeah, he is somehow behind it.
Because, if I would tell you, one thing I love about Mr. Solimanka is that man doesn't, hana jealous. Soli, you can even have a grudge with him or a clash or a misunderstanding with him. Soli will never go to the next person. Soli has taught me one thing, Muti. Live there. Work on yourself. Polish yourself. And move on. Detach from there. If a person is going to be negative, this is what he taught me. He said, if a person is going to be negative towards you, and then don't even answer back. Move away. Detach. That's one great lesson and principle I've learned from Soul. And it has worked for me. So coming to Mofire, we worked together. It was Soli and what happened, I became the Hustlers, the Mofire Hustlers ambassador. And, with everything else, it comes to an end. My period came to an end. I served for like over, I think, 7 years. And then eventually they found another ambassador. As we know, times are upgrading. Now there's social media, there's likes, there's marketing, and marketing goes through social media and all that. And there's influencers doing that. And then I had to hand over to a great guy, Robert Boy, the son of Mr. Nuswakenbuli.
Is he the influencer?
No, he's not the brand ambassador.
Okay, but is he an influencer or just the brand?
No, he's a musician, and so obviously that goes along with the brand. He's doing a very great job, a very beautiful job, a very humble guy, very beautiful guy. And shout out to Robert Boy. He's doing a very great job. Very humble guy, a very, 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 very humble guy. Z, very beautiful soul, and he does very beautiful music. He also started like me. If I'll tell you with Robert Boy how he started, like he used to be the guy who'd run around behind DJ Spoo with the camera.
Oh, okay.
With all these beautiful videos you see, that's the guy behind there. And, shout out to him. So he's now have taken over, doing very great job. And the brand it's going well. I'm still part of the brand. I'm still part of the Hustlers.
Yeah, I see you. It's still, the uniform.
I'm still in contact with the guys. We do the brand. It's growing. It's doing great jobs, great initiatives, and shout out to Mofire. DJ Swoo is making sure the brand is going well, and shout out to him. And it's all in good order.
Oh, he's good.
So yeah, man, we still push it. So that's where Petson comes from, and that's where Petson is boring now. I've now decided to adventure into being a motivational speaker and writing my own book. And, thanks to Mofire, I've grown. And it's like every child. Your parents, they bring you up. Eventually you move out.
Yeah.
So that time did come for me to say, well, Mofire has grown me. And now I'm a big boy now. DJ Smooth made sure I'm a big boy now.
Yeah.
I understand business better now. I understand ideas better now. I'm able to engage with business people. I'm able to create proposals, things like that. I'm able to pitch. I'm able to, so I'm being taken serious because of all the skills he has implemented for me to get to know, and shout out to him. And now I've decided to grow into being a motivational speaker and to writing my own book,
In the book, yeah.
and also telling the history about how I started On Fire and stuff like that. And shout out to the good people who played a good role in my life. Inside Mofire, people like Mr. Ronaldo Farina, people like Darian Maya, and other people. I mean, we had a great, beautiful team. There's still a great, beautiful team in Mofire. it's a beautiful brand, and wow, it's a beautiful African brand. In South Africa, it's doing well, it's growing. So yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us. You know, there are so many parts that I can go into as I listen to you when you elaborate on. And I think the other issue for me was on that I wanted us to talk about. Maybe we can touch on it a little. The relationships, because Kebia, you mentioned that when when you were growing, you wouldn't even be interested in those type of things. But like as you grew, did you ever get to a point where you tried to be in a relationship? Or yeah, because another thing that I maybe want to focus on when it comes to that is the fact that you said you were poor, so you wouldn't be able to take care of it. And I have a sense that even in the days that we live in now, with a lot of women making their own money, I still feel like a lot of men are starting to feel maybe the way that you felt then. Yeah, even because with you, it was the fact that you were still young and your family was poor. But in the days that we are living in, we are old, but the money back is now being pushed to the women's pocket. And men are starting to feel somehow. So I don't know if you can touch on that when it comes to the maybe relationships and the money and all that space that now we find ourselves in as people.
With regards to that, yes, I mean, like now I'm an adult. I don't even know why I do sometimes call myself a young man, but I'm now an adult. Yes, I'm presently in a relationship. I'm engaged in a relationship, but let me tell you, and this is what's happening to a lot of men out there.
Yes, that's why I'm a young adult. Yes, I see that it's happening a lot.
What's happening, one, with what you've mentioned about the money bag being thrown to women. A lot of women had become so independent. And slowly but surely, the stigma of indotamas, it's slowly dying out. But while it's dying out, it still leaves broken men. Because now, remember, we now have got ladies, and there's nothing wrong with ladies being independent, making their own money, having their own cars, and. Right? But it also brings a certain disadvantage because some of them don't know how to engage or control or go about with these things, whereby obviously now men feel control to say, like, it's like now, if I get engaged with a woman who's having her own things and it's like now I have to become independent. I'm driving your car. I'm you know, it becomes the same thing with ladies. Should you find a man who's got the money bag thrown to them, you're still under that pressure because it becomes a stigma. If I borrow you my car, I need to monitor, okay, you're going out with the girls, you with the ladies and all that. When are you coming back? Yeah, I track out your car. So it becomes a stigma because you can't be your own self until you have what is of your own. Secondly, you look at a lot of men. I think men and young men, we need to discern carefully when it comes to relationship and also when it goes to marriage life. You need to understand the word. People don't understand the word relationship. Be careful when you engage in these things. A relationship, right? It's a relation, right? It's when we get to have a sense of engagement of identity. It's a relation. Okay. You could be my sister. I could be your brother. It's like, for instance, I'll give you an example. We've got a relation, me as you.
Yes.
Why? When it comes to business, we engage. There's a relation.
I agree.
To say, you know, I've got this. Can you do this for me? Can you offer your services in this? I know you're the guy who can do this. Look, I don't want to go to expensive people. Can you? It's a relation. Then ship. That is why when things don't work out, jump off the ship. Jump off the ship. So if the ship jumps off before the ship says. So people don't get abused ladies. Relationship means it's two ways coming from two opposite sides trying to collide and joining into one way.
Wow, that's so profound.
That's a relationship. That is why there's partnership. It's two different people who've got two different amounts of money and they're going to combine this money and they're like, hey, let's solve this book.
Yeah.
It's two people coming from two different directions and like colliding into one way. People are not aware of that. Now, some people, I jump into a relationship with my ego. Young men, you hear people say, I close what I'm side. You hear women saying, I'm waiting for the how about you let them leave the relationship? The question is, you look at, I'll give you a structure of your body. We always get told a man is the head of the house. I always say, well and fine. The man is the head of the house, respectfully so, well and fine. But is it right for a man to come back home at 3 a.m., wake up the kids, demand his food, warm up my food, and now the woman has to wake up and you know?
Right.
That's where it comes from our stigma of our culture when people get married. Don't ask a man where he comes from. If a man didn't sleep in the house, that sort of statement was very dangerous. That's why we've got the Peter society that we've got. Now, you sit and say the man is the head of the house, well and fine. I would always ask this question. I would say, you've got a head, and a person would say, yes. And I'd be like, would your head move without your neck? I'd be like, no. Like right now, my head cannot move without my neck. Can you see when I do this? My neck is also react. So they're in partnership. So they're in partnership. It's a relationship. That's how a woman and a man goes about. So if I'm the head, it means you the neck. Yeah, neck. Because you need to understand, even right now, my neck cannot operate without my head. It needs the weight of my head for it to be functional. And then that's where you get the rest of the connection, your veins and what. What tells you that your thumb is sore? The vein has to feel something first. That's when that it can send a message to my mind to say, I am feeling something.
This conversation can go on and on and on. But I want us to decode the endodamast as we approach the end of the conversation. Endodamast, what does it really mean?
It means, what are you bringing on the table? It's like now, we're sitting here, there's
Test indoor, what are you bringing on the table?
You would hear a woman saying, okay, cool, you like me and all that. What have you got to offer? You understand? A lot of people, they've turned relationships into a sense of an exchange or business type of a thing, which is very wrong. Because now, if you say endodamast to me, right? And I'm like, okay, I will be endodamast. I'll bring the 50%. But the question is, people are not aware of their psychological well-being. Firstly, you as a woman, if you want to say endodamast, are you healed? Number one. Your sense of sanity, is it 100% in a clear, pure, clean line to say, you know who you are? People want men to know who they are, when most of the ladies, they don't know who they are.
Yeah, true. And there's this reading I came across where this person was saying, women want men that are healed, but are we really ready to embrace a healed man? Meaning that a man in his healed state, he will lead. And when he leads, will you be ready to follow him? That is number one, you know. And I found it very, very interesting because honestly speaking, as women, we want to push men to a certain area or a certain direction. And when they get there, are we really willing to follow them? But I think that is another subject for another day. Now, coming back to the issue of endodamast, I feel like endodamast is something like a financial tool, sort of, that is being used against men. Why do I say this? I'm saying this because that term only applies when it comes to finances. They will say a man must pay for my nails, a man must pay for my hair, my hair, a man must take me out, a man must do this. And where I find it very, very interesting is on the issue that, okay, fine, now we are, like we just said earlier, we are having more money in our pockets as women, but we still have the statement in Dota, meaning I've got my own pocket full of money, but I'm expecting to take from the man to do my nails, to do my hair, pay for my car, pay for my cruisers, pay for my everything. And there's this statement that I really, really, really hope that at some point as women, I know I'm not going to be popular with this one, where we will say, my money is my money, but your money is our money. Yeah. So this is where I feel like the Indoda must thing is a financial type of abuse towards men. That is my feeling. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
But also, just to tap on that before we close, I need to show you something. In the statement in Dotanas, you've touched on something very important to say women want men to provide, and men, yes, let's say they provide and all that and all that. That's the reason why you've got men who suffer from depression. That's the reason why you've got men who commit suicide. It comes from that. Now, how does it come from that? We move from the sector of childhood, adult, a young adult, to a man. Guys, do you ever consider, right now, I'll give you a typical example. You're sitting with a man, but do you know that there's a boy who's crying inside this man?
Yeah.
That you are interviewing right now?
Unhealed boy.
Do you know that there's a boy who visits this man that you are interviewing right now? And you expect a healed man when the boy is not healed. All right, well and fine. Let's pack it. Let me tell you where it comes from. I grew up without a father who wasn't there, who probably had reasons or had made choices to say, I'm not going to be there. Now I have to become your man. Hey, I marry you. Danger. I marry you. Right? There's a boy who's not healed. And you meet this man. Right? Like, ladies, sometimes you guys need to forgive us as men. I grew up being a man. I grew up not being taught how to be a man. I grew up in a surrounding where I've never seen a man walking in with a plastic full of groceries or bread. Now, how will I learn that a man has to buy bread for his woman or for his children? I'm walking like holding a bottle of beer or whatever, walking at 3 a.m. Why? I was never taught that a man doesn't walk in the house at 3 a.m. Now, sometimes you need to forgive us, just in case you're looking for a healed man. Oh, forgive me, I never had a father. Forgive me, I was never taught how to become a man. Yes, I do want to become a better man. While I'm in the process of wanting to become a better man, I tried to bring you flowers, and you're like, get the flowers, I go Pick and Pay. O tlo nrekela di flowers tsa 73 ranta. Ana le ditlhong go tlo nrekela di flowers tsa 72 ranta. Now I become broken, I become bitter because at this moment, Mofa, it's all I can afford for 10 rand. I can't afford Monster. Hey, you are looking for an energy drink at 27 rand. I don't have that at the moment. And for me to say to you, Dave, listen, I can't afford that. I'm trying to make ends meet. What happens? You crush me down to be the weakest kid. Indoor must. And that's why we've got depressed men. And that is why a lot of men, have you noticed that lately? People tell you that I'd rather be in relationships, but I don't want to get married. Ask yourself why. Men lately, they tell you that, yes, we can be in a relationship, but don't try and claim me and say, Indo Tayami. Oh my way. And you don't want to give us a break. Sometimes we think men are beats. You can call me beta all you want. But you can have things. Yes. If I complain, yet now when the brokenness of me come up, you wanna call me beta, you wanna call me when I tell you I don't tell me about my father. A lot of people will not like me when I say I don't know you. I'm not the man in a coffin. Now you wanna call me a beta man. I was not taught how to be a man. The woman that I'm with right now, she has to forgive me. I'm learning this in a process. How to become a father. I was never taught how to become a father. I was never taught how to be a man. I never enjoyed being a boy.
Even relating to women, because remember earlier we were talking about the emotions being shaped right from childhood. So with the absence of the mother, it means there are certain emotions of a woman that you're not able to relate to and maybe take care of in a way.
I'll give you a simple example. You look at Petson. I don't want to talk about other men. You look at Petson. He never enjoyed being a child of what is playing. I never played in my life. I had to be focused. I had to be matured every day to survive. And I had to survive. I was never taught how to survive. Then I had to be a boy. From a child to a boy. I never enjoyed what it is to be a boy child. I'm growing up. I'm 39. I'm about to turn 40 right now. I'm a man already. I've got a 9-year-old. I have to do my best to be a good father and be there for that boy. Like, I have to make sure I go and pick him up. I have to be present. It's something that I was not taught. I had an advantage to be brought up by a man who is a man's man. But the difference is that he was a priest. He knew nothing about being a parent. He knew how to be a spiritual parent. That's all a spiritual father. And that's all I could grasp and run with.
Up until this day.
Now, how do you expect the relationship I have not to get affected?
Yeah.
Because you need to understand, House T, the woman I'm with, she needs to understand that with my guy here, there's going to be times where he's a man, but then he's going to be like a child.
Sure.
Where in you, I will not just find my partner. I want to start finding a sister. I had sisters who were never there. I've got sisters now. They are not there for. They don't care. I've got brothers, me, where I had to fend for myself. If I get beaten, kishapi or stratin, I can't go and call my brother. I have to stand up for myself. Till to this day.
Yeah, that's nice.
Now, you need to understand.
My head is spinning from this story.
With you and your daughter must. Yes, I will be your daughter must. I will provide where I can and however I can. I will hustle sharp. Okay, become manala sharp. Cause why? That's how we show love these nowadays. But do you understand?
Please, when you say that's how we show love these days, is it because it is what the society expects men to show love?
I don't want to even say the society. That's how the system is programmed.
Thank you.
Each and every.
I like the word the system. Next time you come, you're going to talk on the systems.
Because now you look at it, you need to understand. I was getting to this point. Dr. Mas, I'm broken. I've counted all these things that I had to jump the stage. That's all. I was not taught all these things. Now you need to understand. Do you understand? As you want in Dr. Mas, I can be in Dr. Mas. Ladies, understand one thing. If you want me to be in Dr. Mas, I can be in Dr. Mas. Provide everything you want, but you must understand. You will not get my time.
True.
In order for you to get this 50% of everything that you want, I have to put in the work. So I won't be present to give you my time. Then you start complaining and say, he doesn't have my time. Ask yourself why rich men, they've got the most beautiful woman, but they don't have time to spend with their woman. Ask yourself why people who wear the most expensive watches, they wear the most expensive watches, but Lavantu, they don't have time. Oh, he wears a Rolex, this guy. But right now he's got to be at the airport. He doesn't have time to ask you how you're feeling, how you are. He tells you, do you want the money or you want what? I have to be in Dubai then if you want the money. I won't have your time. I have to be in the meeting. That's the problem of Ndota Mast. And if I have the time, I won't have the money. So you choose which one you want. Choose your struggle. I love this conversation and I hope these ladies were listening.
I was actually about to say, I feel like we need to have like a real talk show. It's Lady T talk show. I feel like we need to have a real talk show where we have a couple of our brothers and sisters and we just see, let's engage on this subject. It needs to be, brought up when we hear them.
As these are the factors that people don't want to play about.
Yeah.
Now, you want a healed man. I'm going into the healed man. Now, you want a healed man. You want me to be healed. Well and fine. But do you understand how to skip all these stages? You must understand. For me to see you as my woman, I would sometimes see you as my sister if I never had a sister. I lost my mother at the tender age. And sometimes I'll be like a child, whereby I just want to be on your lap and you want to be like, oh, where Bora? He behaves like a child.
Since this ain't,
Do you realize how broken men are? Same thing with a woman. There's men who want certain things from women. You must clean, you must cook, you must. Where do I ever sit and say, hey, how are you? There's a saying, I love what Joshua Mapoma once said, to say, if you want to know the type of woman that you want to marry, say to that woman, can you take me to your grandfather's grave? Once you find a grave dead, that's not a woman to marry. Run away. Now, you look at it. Let me give you the concept. And I get you guys are saying Ndoda must. And we don't say Mfazi must. Now, here I come. I love you. And then, if we have to research how many relationships you've been in, right? And then I come and I say, I want to marry this woman. And they say to me, 110,000. Now, how many people have been on this path? They've dated this path. Now I come, I get told, no, you're the one who's in the past. When I haven't even driven the bar. Now, would you still want us to engage on it, or Damas?
No. I think
do you still want us to engage?
For now. But we still need to engage it at some point. I think we still need to engage it at some point because now you're actually bringing another element of it. And sometimes I think as a society, especially from the olden traditional people from our families, this is not how they normally look at it. For them, it's just about, no, he's in the must, we must pay 100,000 because the lady has got this and this. But they don't look at this area that you are now bringing in to say, but this bus has been driven by how many drivers? If this shadi police road,
I'm the one who has to sweep the bus, but again, it's exhausting because you look at the programs that were. I love the program Married at First Sight. We're not trying to promote it. We're not giving you guys a name. And this is where you see where couples get married, you don't know each other, and this is where now you see the elements of relationships. To say that's when I'll discover that this person is broken. We also have got broken ladies. How many guys who are healed take the time to say, but how are you? Tell me about your childhood. There's ladies who grew up born, never born, and they were not there. It's in both, it's ways, both genders. Do you understand? Yeah. But then some genders tend to demand more than, and it's not about you, it's about us.
Yes, yeah, true.
Let me engage and say, how are you? I'm your guest today. You did ask me, how are you? How are things for me? Why you care, you concern, you want to know. And that is why 99% go around and ask people, how are you? We all get one name, like one statement, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
That word is very dangerous. You are fine.
And you just reminded me, in the last session when we were doing tea with Lady T, like the first episodes, we did in the first season. And I want to bring that back. I'm sorry I didn't do it, but I want to bring that back. It's a tradition where I would ask my guests to say, how are you spiritually, emotionally, and physically? That is the spirit, the soul, and the body. So I would have like a check-in, Yana, just to say, okay, on a scale of 10, how are you? Yeah, how would you rate yourself? So thank you for bringing that up, because really we need to be intentional about engaging with people. And on that note, we are coming to the end of our conversation. A very interesting one. I hope we'll have a continuation at some point.
I think what we can do is let's get engaged with your viewers. Should you guys want a second episode?
Oh, yes.
Leave a comment and say second episode. If you find this topic interesting, then I can come back and we can engage more. And I think with what you've indicated, it would be nice to at least, have other professionals of men. We need real men who can also teach us as young people of how to become a man. Other ladies, let's engage. Let's talk about this. I would love to also hear another side of ladies. It would be lovely.
It would be lovely.
Because I look at the conversation that we had. It goes touch in touch with the sport.
It really does. And while you're mentioning the book, the reason why I actually picked it up was because earlier you mentioned the issue of emotional stability, and you also talked about trauma. And it's some of the topics that are actually in this book. I think if you look at verse 6, and it comes immediately after the heading of the book, The Mystery of Who We Are, as a chapter 5. And then from verse 6, 7, 8, 9, we are looking at the soul, portraying portions of the soul, the wounds, the wounded soul, the fractured soul, a captive soul, because there's a lot that actually goes into a human being. And with this book now coming into different chapters about the soul, it shows how a soul can be affected from a level of the emotion, the thoughts, and the deeper part of the soul, which is the subconscious mind of the person. So there is a lot that we are actually touching on that we have touched on in our conversation with relation to the book. And the image of God, that like you have explained it earlier, and the cover of the book. Thank you so much. I don't have to go much into it. I've already done it prophetically. So yeah, because you just looked at the book and you spoke about it. So thank you so much for coming through. I really, really, really enjoyed the conversation. I have been looking forward to this conversation for months.
Yeah. And we've been actually delaying of all different commitments. But I'm glad we got to it. And hey, viewers out there, the book is now available. Lady T has got a book. It's called The Image of God, where it actually helps you to be able to somehow get a sense of, your self-identity, your self-experience. Each and every human being, it's a mystery. And in everyday life, you discover yourself. And that is why we have to love life. I feel that we need to love life in spite of the difficulties we're going through, because in everyday life, there's something I cannot say I fully know myself as person, because there's things that in everyday life, when I wake up, I discover like, oh, I never knew I could do this. I never knew that thing is called the mystery. And that shows you the beauty of God. Yes. That shows you the beauty of being a human being. Yes. And I always say to people, you know what, no matter what you're going through, smile, because it adds value in your face.
I think I've just found an ambassador for the image of God. He speaks so beautifully about it without even having to go into the content of the book. Yeah. So, Parsons, my brother, thank you so much. Leadership.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Viewers, thank you so much for being part of the show. Please do join the community, subscribe to the channel. like, and please, most importantly, especially on this conversation, do comment and let us know what would you like to discuss out of this conversation. Indoda we must have a show.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's yes.
Looking forward.
Yes, we are gonna arrange that. So thank you so much once more to the Macau Hotel management. Thank you for the hospitality. The viewers, please do check it out even on the website. Go to their socials. Please subscribe to their socials on social media, wherever you find them. Just be part of the subscribers and grow their platforms. From me, myself, and I, Tibet Lomosese, that is your host, also known as Lady T. I will see you next time. Remember, take care of yourself, spirit, soul, and body. Thank you.
Len, Valala, Ufule.